Mr. Ray, if you could tell us about how Ulma Formwork has been coping with the lockdown. Partially, the lockdown has been lifted for certain sectors. Construction activities have commenced in some parts of the country. What was it like when you all were dealing with the lockdown? Have you seen a change post the lockdown has been lifted partially? And how has the company been dealing with the situation?
Yes, actually, we have been working, and there were contracts on various projects, as you know. All our type of business, it starts with engineering and then approval of the engineering. After that, the manufacturing, and we also import materials from Spain. All these things were going, and the customer side was waiting for the material when the lockdown was called upon. So I can tell you that when the lockdown was there, then part of the materials could be sent to the site and part of the materials could not. And unless the complete assembly is sent to the site, the formwork cannot be assembled, So at the same time, the customers' job site work also got stopped. So under this situation, all the imports from Spain, the containers were on the seas, the vessels were on the seas, it came to the port, but nothing could be cleared for the in the customs. So like this, it continued till a week back or 10 days back. Part of the material supplied, part not. The engineering was more and more focused upon. We got the approval of the engineering, and then now with 4 or 5 contracts, the customers have asked us to start delivering the materials, because now the interstate movement of the trucks and the trailers have been allowed. We have been allowed to open our warehouse under special permission. We have sanitized and we have started the forklifts, and the laborers have started coming just a day before yesterday. So all the 5, 6 contracts for which the site was waiting for the materials, we are sending. Though there is a exodus of the migrant workers from most of the construction sites, so the job will be a bit slower, but at least our contract would be going, and we are going to send our engineers to the site to start the assembly jobs also. So there was a more or less, if you ask me about the lockdown, there was a absolute standstill, but we had been working from home. We had been working with our fabricators, the quality control people, and we have managed everything so that the moment the lockdown is open, within a week's or 3, 4 days time, all the materials are available in our warehouse.
You mentioned about you all import a couple of materials from Spain and how it was supply of materials, import of materials was held up during the lockdown. What was the impact this had on the production? And now that your factory has commenced activities, what is the kind of difference you're seeing in production levels pre-COVID and right now? So what was your production capacity first pre-COVID, and what is your production capacity? Is it like you all are only supplying for contracts, in hand? Are you all also looking at new projects, or has the focus changed?
No, our production happens in Spain. We don't produce over here. We have production facilities, 2, 3 over here, which are producing the basic fasteners and clamps and all those stuff. Absolutely, they were stopped during the lockdown period because they had the raw materials, but we asked them to stop because it was very uncertain. If you ask of Spain, Spain factory was producing only on the export orders. But let me tell you, as and when the Europe, and other parts of the world started opening up, including India, of course, the activity with special permission, the manufacturers over here and also with Spain, they have started manufacturing the export orders, directly to export orders on our behalf. And there were some 7 to 8 containers on the seas which have started moving, and which is expected to Nhava Sheva very soon. So though the raw materials were there, the workers were not there. That was the main reason why the producers, the small scale manufacturers who supply to us, they stopped the production, because they were also not sure whether the contract will go ahead or not. But I can tell you that the complete scenario has changed over the last 1 week. There are a lot of activities happening. In fact, there will be shipments from 2, 3 factories to our warehouse in the next 4, 5 days. And so it is going like that now, after the partial lifting of the lockdown.
Right. How was your factory set up during the lockdown? And did you all have a situation where you all had to, manage manage your laborers or at the factory setup? How did you all provide for them? Uh, what did you all face any challenge in terms of them wanting to really migrate back to their villages? How did you all manage this kind of challenge?
Uh, our case was a bit different, because the most of the workers are the local people, and most of the
Hmm.
laborers were the local people. So they went back. They used to come from their home, and they were living very nearby, within a span of within a distance of 4 to 5 kilometers. So though most of the people, they went back to their home. We didn't have to keep anybody in the factory or the warehouse because it was completely sealed. It was not allowed by the police also. So on that matter, whatever was there up to 22nd of March standstill, we just closed it like that. And now these people have started coming back because we don't have an issue of the migrant workers, because we are not in a construction site. We are in a factory or a warehouse. Our customers, yes. If you are talking of our customers, we got to know that the customers have been keeping all these workers all this time, 2 months, with lot of facilities of staying, the food,
Sir, I
minimum
lost
wages.
your voice. I lost your voice in
Hello,
between. You'll
hello.
have to repeat. Yes, yes.
Can you hear me?
I lost you when you said that in terms of customers.
In terms of customers,
Yeah.
job sites, because the customers are constantly in touch with us. We know that the customers have kept in every job site, they have kept the workers in thousands. Some were 600 workers, 1,500, 3,000 workers, made accommodation, food, wages, and everything, so that they can start the project the moment the lockdown is lifted. But after all these facilities given to the workers, it's quite natural that when the lockdown is partially lifted, if they get a token of the train, which has started now, there will be an exodus. They want to go back to their hometown. I was talking to one of my a big conglomerate, a customer, a key customer in South. He says that after all these expenses for the last 2 months, now I have been maintaining 1,500 or 1,600 workers. Mostly 700 to 800 had gone off in the last 5 days. Now he has only 700 workers. So of course he will start the construction, but definitely the pace will not be that much as he's expecting. So that's it. Now there will be an exodus of the migrant workers for a time being, 1 month, 1.5 months. I don't know when they're going to come back, because it is all related to our business. The more the construction progresses, the more our materials are required, And if the construction site is not open, customers immediately don't want to take up the materials. So it's directly related.
Absolutely. In fact, a lot of people I've spoken to have mentioned that we've lost the golden period in construction this year. So,
Yes.
uh, uh,
Hello, hello, hello. I cannot hear you.
time losing on the
Yeah,
activities.
I missed you in between. I missed you now in
Hello,
between.
you can hear
Yeah,
me now?
yeah. Most of
Yeah, I
you
was
were
just
telling me.
saying,
Yeah,
yes, yes. So a lot of people were mentioning that this 1.5 to 2 months that has been lost will have a serious impact on the sector. But
yes.
taking forward from there, how long do you think will it take, the sector to pick up, especially now that monsoons are likely to come in soon, and having had lost already 2 months in construction, do you see an uptick in construction going forward?
I will divide it into two categories. The one, those were planned, because we know when projects are getting planned, because we give lot of engineering solutions, the cost, the cycle period of construction, and everything. I am sure whether it is a residential building, a developer, or a commercial building or residential building, nothing is going to pick up immediately after the lockdown opens. New projects being planned will be on the back burner for at least a period of 5-6 months, unless one is absolutely sure that the market has seen the activity up to the minimum level. There are availability of materials, the workers, at the justified cost. Let me tell you now, few of the construction material cost are a bit, there is no reason for escalation, but there are increases in the market. Maybe people are taking advantage, or there is shortage of material, or the movement of the material has not happened during the last 2 months. So there is a temporary hike in the steel materials and maybe cement, I don't know. So The new projects, I don't think it will pick up in the next 4 or 5 months, absolutely. But there are many ongoing projects, which if they have completed the foundation, then they don't need to bother about the monsoon. They can work. And there is a plan already that they will work full force during the monsoon also. Those projects which are in the excavation stage will really suffer a lot, because in another 1 month's time, they have to stop their job because the rains will be coming, maybe June, the rains will be coming up. And so I think the total activity will be a very sloth in the next at least 4 to 5 months, if not 6 months. But yes, there is a sense of positivity that customers are still looking, middle, not row houses, but residential, which are not the high-end apartments. They are very much in demand. Even builders like Tata and Rustomji, I know that they have been, and Shobha, they have been selling online during the lockdown period also. So that construction will continue. And the commercial projects which have started, they have to continue because the lease agreement and the agreements have already been executed. But I can tell you that if you ask me when will the situation of January, February come, that is not going to come up before November, maybe, because there are festivals, there are rainy seasons, monsoons, and a lot of problems are there. A lot of factors which will the workers will not be able to come, and there will be holidays and all those stuff.
So you rightly pointed out about steel price. In fact, my next question was coming to that. Although you all don't manufacture, you all don't, produce here in India. Your parts are mainly produced in Spain. But of course, we know that the formwork market is highly dependent on steel. And a lot of companies were telling me that one reason for the hike in price is because of logistical issues. So they didn't have drivers. They did not have logistics was a main challenge, which is why there was an increase in the price. But generally, for the Indian formwork industry, how much does the impact of steel price have on the formwork industry? And do you think this is just a temporary rise in price of steel, or going forward, if the rise continues, how do you see it impact the formwork industry in India?
There is definitely a price rise of steel, and the main reason for this, I must tell you, that steel stockists, big stockists, distributors, it's a continuous material incoming and outgoing operations that they depend upon. So if there is a stoppage of 2 months where incoming materials are not there, then whatever stock they have prior to the lockdown, that becomes very costly for all those customers who need it immediately, badly, because the lockdown open, they want to manufacture something and they want to deliver. So definitely the price hike is because of high demand and very less material available with them. I am not telling you that the material is not available with the steel manufacturers. The steel has been, manufacturers have been continuously manufacturing. But yes, as you rightly pointed out, the logistical issues, materials have not been transferred from the factories to the distributors, the retailers, the stockists, and the distribution effect is not there, which will at least take 3 months to uniform. Other than that, I don't think there is any reason of raw material increase cost which will make the steel price to shoot up. These 3-4 months, whatever we produce, I'm very sure that we are going to shell out 10 to 12% more, because that is the way formwork materials are dependent on steel. Timber is very little, but we cannot help it. Whatever are the urgent jobs in hand, we have to get those materials and we have to supply to the site as per the commitment to the customer. So we will have to, it will be difficult for the next 3-4 months, but definitely by the festival period of October, November, I think the steel prices will roll back to the what we have experienced just prior to the lockdown during February or March.
Right. Lastly, you mentioned there is some demand from residential. You named a few builders who were working even during the lockdown. Will your focus as for the company continue to be residential going forward?
See, residential mostly uses, if it is a high-rise residential, there is a monolithic formwork is very much in demand, though we are not into monolithic. But our residential is high-end apartments, but mostly it is commercial, infrastructure, and industrial, which will help us in our business. Commercial orders in South and in West India, There are many commercial buildings which have been contracted, which has been the data centers, and for the customers like Amazon, Google, and there are many IT companies who are taking up spaces. Now, working from home, how the situation will change, we don't know, but definitely there will be a decrease in demand of the spaces for the next 6 months at least. So our focus would be on commercial projects and infrastructure projects we are already doing. And there are industrial projects which are on the anvil, which already the customer is discussing even when we are working from home. Residential projects for low-cost housing, it will be conventional formwork. And for the other projects, the middle cost, it will be monolithic formwork. And it has to be monolithic formwork or tunnel form construction will have to be used because the developers have to build it quickly, and it will be a very uniform type of design all the floors.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Ray. Thank you so much for your inputs. Great conversation, and I will check this video and get back to you.
Thank you, Tanvi. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks
Have a
for
good day.
Thank you. Bye.